Tyson Fury versus Steve Cunningham. Now, Steve Cunningham is a name, right? He's a name in boxing. He's obviously a former cruiserweight world champion. He's recently moved up to heavyweight. He fought Thomas Adamek. Um, Most people thought he was unlucky not to get the decision in that fight against Thomas Adamek. Although I don't think it was the big robbery that a lot of people do. I also think he was unlucky not to get the decision. Put it that way. So Cunningham's name is fairly high profile, right? It's definitely one of the most high profile names internationally and especially in America that Tyson Fury has ever faced, right? So from a managerial standpoint, this was a fairly good matchup, right? On Mick Hennessy's part. Mick Hennessy has managed to, secure this opponent for Tyson Fury. So it's a pretty good matchup. They've been after Thomas Adamek for a long time. Adamek didn't want to fight. So they were looking for someone, along those lines. And obviously the natural person to go to would be the guy that Adamek just fought and the guy that a lot of people think Adamek just lost to, Steve Cunningham. Right? So, you know what I mean? In terms of a name right now, fighting a well-known fighter, a fairly well-known fighter, Steve Cunningham is not bad. Not a bad opponent for Tyson Fury in terms of the name recognition and the profile of the event. I believe the fight is going to be taking place in the States. So, it's a fairly good matchup in that sense for, Tyson Fury to gain more recognition and possibly a higher world ranking and try and force a Klitschko fight, because that's what he really wants. That's what his management really want, etc., etc. But the fight itself, I don't really see how Steve Cunningham can win. I don't really see how Steve Cunningham can be that competitive. Cunningham's not a big puncher. I mean, if you look at Thomas Adamek, the way he was bullied by Vitaly Klitschko, the way that he had to be on his bike against Michael Grant, right? He's a small heavyweight, Adamek. He's not an extremely strong heavyweight. He's a little guy. And he gets bullied when he gets in there with big heavyweights. But when you saw Adamek in there against Cunningham, even though I thought Cunningham, deserved to win the fight, Cunningham was the one in there who was the physically weaker of the two. It was Adamek that was pushing him around. You understand what I'm saying? So if you put that into perspective, you can see that Cunningham really is not very strong at heavyweight. He's not a puncher. He's not very physically strong. So he's going to be relying purely on movement, speed, and boxing skills to try and get a decision over Tyson Fury. But the problem is Tyson Fury is a hell of a lot taller than Steve Cunningham. He's a hell of a lot stronger. He's got much longer reach. And I think the only chance that Steve Cunningham has got in this fight is if Tyson Fury turns up out of shape and unmotivated. If his head is somewhere else. Right? That's the only chance I really see for Steve Cunningham. I just think Tyson Fury is way too big. Tyson Fury's got a good jab. He puts his punches together. He's got very good hand speed for a big man. He's got good movement for a big man. He's very fluid and relaxed for a big man. I just think it's a very, very tall order. Pardon the pun, but I think it's a very tall order for Steve Cunningham. And I'm not really that excited about this fight. I really want to see Fury in there with a Klitschko at this stage. And I wish Vladimir would stop messing around and just fight Fury right now. Why not? Right? We definitely don't want to see Vladimir in there against Freza Kendo. Because he seems to be the front runner for Vladimir's next defense at the moment. We definitely don't want to see that. Much rather see him in there with Tyson Fury. So why not make it happen? But then again, a lot of other people would say that they want to see Tyson Fury fight David Price. And I would certainly like to see it as well. But, Tyson Fury, Team Fury know how dangerous David Price is. As far as, never mind all the trash talk. Right? I know Tyson Fury likes to talk a lot of trash. And that's cool. You know what I mean? Some people hate him for it. Some people love him for it. Whatever. He likes to talk a lot of trash. And say a lot of things about David Price. But the truth is, him and his team know how dangerous David Price is. Right? and they're not about to risk taking on David Price, who is not as far along in his career as Tyson Fury is. Right? Tyson Fury he's had more fights, he's fought better fighters, and he's got a higher world ranking than David Price. Right? So they don't want to risk fighting a guy of a lower rank who's as dangerous as David Price at this stage. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because they don't gain anything financially from fighting David Price at this stage, because David Price is not on the same level. Right? If David Price had a similar amount of fights to Fury and was in a similar position, then one of the sanctioning bodies might be able to force an eliminator to be fought between Fury and Price. You know what I mean? And we would all love that. I would love that. You would love that. We would all love it. You know what I mean? But unfortunately, that's not the case. You know what I mean? And Tyson Fury and his team are not about to risk fighting a fighter as dangerous as David Price. And David Price is dangerous. Right? In my previous videos, I've stepped out and said, look, David Price has got limitations. He's got weaknesses, which he does. Right? But never did I say that I think that David Price is not a dangerous fight for Tyson Fury. No. If you go back and look at my videos, I always said I think David Price against Tyson Fury, that's a 50-50 fight. Right? That's how I see it. I see it as a very dangerous fight for both of them. Whereas a lot of people in the UK seem to think that Price would just destroy Tyson Fury. You know what I mean? Now, I'm not one of those people. I think it's a very competitive fight between those two. But hey, we ain't going to see it for now. What we have got is Tyson Fury taking on Steve Cunningham in a fight which is, fairly high profile, but I don't think will be that competitive. And then obviously we got David Price taking on Tony Thompson in a fight which I think possibly slightly more competitive than Fury against Cunningham. Even though Cunningham's a lot younger than someone like Tony Thompson. Thompson at least has got some kind of reach. And obviously he's a real heavyweight and he's got more experience at heavyweight. So I see Thompson against Price as slightly more competitive than Cunningham against Fury. But hey, we won't know what the truth is until, those fights take place and people step in the ring. So, but anyway, this is not really a prediction video. This is just my initial thoughts on Fury taking on Steve Cunningham. And I'll do a prediction closer to the time. Closer to the time of the fight. So, yeah, that's just how I feel about Tyson Fury against Steve Cunningham. I just feel that Cunningham is just going to be too small. You don't have enough power. And I just don't see how he's going to get past the Fury jab. I don't see it. But anyway, let me know what you lot think about this fight. What do you think about the Fury-Price situation? If Fury is to win this fight, which I think he will, he'll probably go on and fight the winner of Ariola versus Stiverne. And then the winner of that fight will almost certainly be in the #1 position for the WBC heavyweight title. If Vitali still holds it, they'll obviously get a shot of Vitali. But if Vitali don't still hold it, then maybe it'll be a case of Fury fighting Stiverne or Ariola for the vacant belt, or maybe Vladimir will come in, right? Because no one's talked about this yet. I'm sure Vladimir is gonna want that WBC belt for himself, right? That's the only belt he's never had. You know what I mean? So we might get a position where Vladimir comes in and tries to fight someone for the title. You know what I mean? Interesting times. But anyway, yeah. Let me stop waffling on. Let me know what you lot think about this fight. How do you think it will go? Do you think there was anyone else out there that Fury could have fought that you would have liked to see him up against? Like I said, Adamek apparently didn't want it, and now Adamek's fighting Pulev anyway. Me personally, I would have liked to maybe see Fury fight Robert Helenius, but according to Fury and Mick Hennessy, he beat up Helenius quite badly a few years ago in sparring a couple times, and so it's possible that Helenius don't want to fight Fury. You know what I mean? It's possible that he's intimidated by Fury. Who knows? But I would have much preferred to see him in there with someone like Helenius, even a Dimitrenko, someone big and tall. Someone that could simulate the size of a Klitschko. I would have preferred to see that. But hey, it is what it is. Steve Cunningham is not a bad opponent by any stretch of the imagination. He's fairly high profile and whatnot, but I just think he's too small. As skillful as he is, as athletic as he is, I just think he's too small. So anyway, yeah, let me know what you lot think. Leave your comments in the comment section below. This is Hatman. I'm out.